This is Chargers Now. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I'm very excited to be bringing you a mock draft reaction. This one coming to you from ESPN because after the NFL Combine, well, that means it's the perfect time for a lot of these scouts and draft experts to kind of slot different players and where they think they are more likely to land. And what I find very interesting and very fascinating is who the Chargers could end up taking in this most recent mock draft from ESPN. Now, I think it's pretty easy. Most Chargers fans know what position our favorite team in LA is going to go after, or positions that they will go after. But it is important to note that this is a mock draft, and so sometimes the different players that we are looking at might not end up getting to us at pick number 22. It's also important to note with the Chargers that NFL free agency is coming up, and that's going to drastically affect whatever the draft plan is for the Chargers. If you want the Chargers to go out and draft your guy, make sure that you hit the thumbs up on today's video. Like the video, hit that thumbs up button because, well, you just love the Chargers. Jordan Reid is the one who made this ESPN mock draft, and he has the Chargers taking Kadyn Proctor at pick 22. The absolute behemoth from the Alabama Crimson Tide is a fascinating type of prospect heading into this NFL draft because he's big enough to play a tackle. He is quick enough to play tackle, but he's also big enough to play guard. In fact, he would kind of hit that Mekhi Becton type of a role where he's big enough to play tackle, but if he's not athletic enough to play tackle, he can move inside to that guard position, even though people think that he will be athletic enough to play in that tackle spot. Jordan Reid had this to say on Kadyn Proctor. There was a true 50-50 split among scouts at the Combine on the 6'7", 352-pound Proctor, with some thinking he was a first-rounder and others seeing him as a day two prospect. There's also debate on his position, with Proctor playing tackle in college, but being able to kick inside to guard. But even if he's at guard in the pros, he would provide the Chargers with insurance at tackle after they lost Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater to season-ending injuries. And I think that that is the most important thing for the Chargers and for most Chargers fans because, well, hey, you don't want to have another situation where, unfortunately, you have both tackles go down and you have no one to place anywhere else. When you look at how Proctor performed in the SEC, I'd say that's pretty damn impressive. Only giving up 2 sacks while being over 80% in his grades, according to PFF. Very darn impressive. Didn't have a ton of penalties, didn't have too many pressures. He's a guy that, of course, if he came to LA, he would end up being someone who was in at that guard position. And I find him an ultimately fascinating prospect because Proctor can play inside, he can play outside. He's obviously very strong, he's very physical, has a lot of natural gifts that not a lot of other football players have. And he is someone that could instantly plug into this crew. And he could be someone that the Chargers say, hey, we're going to take a guard in that first pick in the NFL draft. So we're going to target only one guard and one center in free agency. I also think it's important, too, to continue to build this Chargers offensive line with at least a little bit of youth. Now, I know a lot of people were saying, but Will, you've been promoting Penn State's Vega Ione. And in this mock draft, Vega Ione was taken at pick 14. So he would not be someone that would be available there for the Chargers to come in and take. And I do think that's important to kind of note as well. When you look at the overall depth chart right now for the Chargers, this is what it looks like pre-free agency. Now, if you watch my video that went out yesterday on the perfect free agency plan, you know that I had the Chargers taking a center and a guard in NFL free agency, or signing a center and a guard in free agency. So this could be an easy spot for Proctor to just move in. He can play that left or right guard, depending on who the Chargers end up signing. There's also a world, too, where maybe after Slater's injury, he bounces inside to guard. That was always a conversation about him when he was coming out of college. Maybe Proctor then ends up being the tackle. Slater ends up being inside, although I kind of doubt that. That does seem like a bit of a overreaction to a potential injury story. Do you want the Chargers to draft Kadyn Proctor? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. I think that if Vega Ione is not on the board, Kadyn Proctor's pretty darn good player to take there. Who did ESPN have the Chargers taking at pick number 55? 5. And what I find fascinating about this 2-round mock draft is that it's not difficult necessarily to see where the skill players are and where the skill sets of certain teams are. And you can also see where Jordan Reid felt the biggest needs were for certain teams. And he had the Chargers taking edge rusher Derrick Moore from Michigan with pick 55. I honestly think that this is a home run pick, especially if the Chargers are only able to bring in Khalil Mack and Odafe, or excuse me, only bring in Khalil Mack or Odafe Oweh without bringing in both of them. It lets you get younger at that edge rusher spot while also giving someone who can clearly come in and be productive in year one. When I look at what Jordan Reid had to say on Derrick Moore, with Odafe Oweh and Khalil Mack scheduled to be free agents, adding Moore would give the Chargers another pass rusher. He had 10 sacks last season and played for the Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh at Michigan in 22 and 23. So clearly Harbaugh has a connection with Moore, and if he believes that he's the type of player that can add in to this defense, he might be more than willing to go out and get him. Last year was very strong for Moore with the Michigan Wolverines. What I found the most fascinating and the most impressive with him is that he is relentless in his pursuit of the quarterback, getting 10 sacks on the year. Now, when you look at his career stats, it just feels like Moore gets slightly better year after year after year. Obviously, in 23 and 22, because of Michigan having much better seasons, the stat numbers are a little bit higher, specifically in 2023. But I'll tell you right now, Derrick Moore, he's a darn good player and would make a darn good pro. I freaking like this pick. I really love what Moore can add into this defense. He gives another rush edge position to this squad, and he continues to help give the Chargers the ability to get younger and younger, and that is always what's going to be the most important. I believe that ESPN had 2 great picks for the Chargers. Let me know what your opinion is on ESPN's mock draft for the Chargers. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below in the comment section. I think it's fair for some people to come in and say, hey, I disagree with your opinion here. I think that the Chargers should have gone after Oweh Ione, or they're going to address those positions in free agency, so that might allow them to address different spots in in this type of draft or in the mock draft. It is important to remember, though, that whenever these mock drafts are coming out, they are going to be changing, and they can be fluid from time to time. I think personally, for me, I think that ESPN absolutely killed it. They're 2 key positions of need for the Chargers, and they're getting 2 key players. If you loved the Chargers and you love this video, hit that thumbs up button. We're always trying to grow the channel. The more likes that we're able to get on a video, the more opportunities we are going to have to showcase those to you. And make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We are rapidly growing right now as a channel. Chargers now, we're over 2,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 2,500. Help us out. Hit that sub button and share the video with a friend who hasn't had an opportunity to subscribe to the fastest growing Chargers YouTube channel on Chat Sports. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and bolt up!